Well, God bless you. Go ahead on and tag share. We are live. Hallelujah. FM 95.3. It's Wednesday. Wake up. Want to say, go ahead on. Get everybody in and tuned in to Hallelujah 95.3 FM. And today, listen, we got an exciting show today right here on the Gospel Station. It's Wednesday Wake Up, and you're tuned in to Greg James, and joining me in the studio is none other than Mr. Jonathan Kelly. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Hey, listen, man, I'm excited about talking to you. Just want you to stay right where you are. I want all of our listeners to go ahead on and get plugged in, and let's get ready to rock and roll. Want to say good afternoon to the man behind the scene that is making it all happen. That's none other than Doc D himself. That's right, the maestro behind the scene at 95.3. Stay tuned. He's coming up next after Wednesday Wake Up. Want to give a big shout out to my co-host, attorney Mataki Akbar. Want to thank him so much for all that he's doing. He's now the new NAACP president. Listen, I want you to go ahead on, those of you who are tuned in to the broadcast by Facebook Live, go ahead on and tag and share, and let's get you in, because today is going to be an exciting and informative day right here on 95.3 FM. I'm Greg James, and we are talking today. Good afternoon, Verna. We're talking today with none other than Mr. Jonathan Kelly of New York Life. And certainly, man, I'm excited to have you join us today, because I feel like to understand what the good life is about, we really have to understand what life is about. So once again, I want to thank you for joining us. And if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you are a native of Tallahassee.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So Jonathan Kelly, born and raised here, right here in Tallahassee. Played basketball growing up, former athlete. Actually graduated from Florida A&M in 2006.
You played, let me stop. You played basketball.
Of course I did. Yeah.
Hey, are you really as good as you really say you are, or you just played?
Well, I'll put it to you like this, man. I'm as good as other people say I am. So if you ask anybody that knew basketball in the early 2000s and they followed FAMU, they could tell you about me. I don't have to say much.
Okay, well, listen, 2000, I was playing basketball, but it wasn't in college. It was in another place, and it was real basketball, because during that time I was still locked up, so we were playing hardcore. So I'm going to have to get you out on the court to really see what you know. But listen, man, excited about that. So go ahead on. So tell us a little bit more. I mean, when you said basketball, we're in the March Madness now.
March Madness, yeah. So speaking of March Madness, I actually played in March Madness. I played in the 2004 NCAA tournament, where we're the only, I believe my team was the only team to actually ever win a game at Florida A&M in the tournament, won a MEAC championship. So I do have a ring, and, just enjoyed college. Like I said, I really went through the whole experience of being a student athlete. I learned about different things, and as far as time management and discipline and sacrifice. So, being a student athlete really taught me a lot growing up as a young man.
Wow. Hey, listen, man, I tell you, one of the things that you said was so important: time management, discipline. One of the things that I'll say, and I always have to use my own personal experience, like you just say, as a student athlete, you learn so much. And I can say, on the flip side of all the negatives that may come along with me having to have had the experience that I've had, time management was something that was so dear to me as I went through that experience. And it's something that's dear now, because there was a point in my life when time really didn't matter. I did not value time, nor did I value appointments. But that experience taught me something. In college, you say being an athlete taught you the value of time management.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be hard to do multitasking and different things where your time is required, but you know what you're there for. You're there to get an education, and you're there to play basketball. That's why I had a full ride. So I wasn't like other students where I only had one job, which was to go to school, go to class. I had multiple things I had to do. I had to be at practice at 6 a.m. I had to be at class by 8 a.m. I had to be back for workout, film session, study hall. So that taught me something even at 18, 19, 20 years old that I still apply today and even instill into my own kids.
Wow. Well, listen, man, I tell you, so, you went on from that. And one of the things that I am really excited about is the fact that I've had the opportunity to meet you. We've had the opportunity to talk about community, and we had the opportunity to talk about the empowerment of communities and being a member of the Tallahassee Peacemakers. And as you know, formerly incarcerated group of guys who were constantly out in the community. You were a part of one of our events, man, over in the Basin Street area.
Yep.
And to see you as a young man being involved in the community, wanting to empower people, that meant a lot to me. Tell us a little bit about what that means to you with the work that you're doing. We're going to get into it because Jonathan is going to tell you a little bit about what he does as a profession, but just his community involvement really stood out to me as a young man. Yeah.
So what we did was we got a group of traders, investors, people who were financially savvy and literate, and we formed Carlos Henry got us all together, and we formed a group called the Build the Block Workshop. So with Build the Block Workshop, we're trying to teach people how to get started in the financial markets. How to start trading, even if it's a little bit of money, how to buy stocks. If you're interested in day trading, how to trade, what to do, and how to just understand other ways to make money. Most people only know about being an employee or self-employed. There's a whole other side to that cash flow quadrant where money is really made. The real money is made.
Absolutely. And I really want to thank you so much, because I think that experience that was taking place over in the neighborhood was an eye opener for a lot of the residents, for a lot of the parents, just to understand that they can start investing with as little as $25,
right,
and really begin to really hone in on a skill set that would change their life. And that's something we're going to talk about a little later on. But our main purpose today is to be able to talk to you about what we see every day in our neighborhoods. We see our children are dying. We see our families are having to create these GoFundMes. They're having to do these chicken and fish dinners. And as African Americans, we just don't see the importance of what I want to say, creating a good life. I know that when we talk about death and we talk about burying, we're talking about it's not as a good life, but the real essence of a good life means that there are some things that you have in place. So let's talk about a little bit about your company, a little bit about what you do when it comes to families, when it comes to educating on some of the needs that are needed to really experience the good life.
Yeah. So what I do, I am a licensed life insurance specialist. So I basically specialize in life insurance, annuities, helping people set up plans for the future. So it's one thing, this is what I tell everybody, we don't like talking about death, but it's one thing that's, two things that's guaranteed in life. One is you're going to pay taxes, and two is eventually one day you will pass away, you will die, because everybody knows you're born and eventually you will die. But most people don't think about the part in between, once you get to a certain age and once you die, and what happens to your family and loved ones after you die. We only think about the here and now, the present, we live for today. We never think about, well, I have kids, I have a wife, I have a husband, whatever it is, and I need to set them up and make sure that they don't miss the income that was coming in on a regular basis.
Well, now you said something, Jonathan, that was so key, and I want to stick a pin in it, because you said that, we never think about being able to set them up.
Mm-hmm.
Our mindset is, when I'm dead, I'm done.
Yeah, right.
And at the end of the day, I'm not going to leave nothing behind for nobody to live off of me. What about that kind of mindset?
That's a dangerous mindset to have. It's a selfish mindset to have. And if you love your kids, your family, your spouse, or whatever, if you were providing for them while you were alive, why not provide for them when you're not here anymore? If I was making $100,000 a year, well, soon as you die, that money stops. Everything stops. Now, you don't have expenses. You're not an expense anymore. Like, they don't have to, you're not paying to feed you or to clothe you or for gas or anymore, because you're not here, but your family is still paying to live. they're still paying to take care of whatever bills your income would take care of. So when I hear people say, well, I'm not going to be here anymore, I don't need to worry about it. But what about your family? You know, if you were providing for them while you were alive, then you need to at least provide for them for the next 10 years. Have enough money set aside for your family to provide for them. And not only that, but pay the debt off. If you have debt, let the life insurance policy pay all of your debt off.
Wow. Now you said something, and I want to stick a pin in that, because I think what we have to do is really have a re-educating of the mindset when it comes to being able to not see it as when I'm dead, I'm done, but
Right.
being able to see, how do I right now take advantage of the benefits of life insurance, the benefits of an annuity? How do I take advantage and not see it as a negative, but see it as a way that I can position my family that they can live the good life?
Right.
Because so many more people look at it in a different vein.
Right. Because, I mean, this is how I look at it. So studies show that 59% of Americans do have life insurance, but out of that 59%, about half of them don't have enough, nearly enough. And it's probably higher than half. But, you know, what that shows me is there are people who really aren't educated on it. They don't know, you know, and they think that they're doing something by having, you know, 25,000, 50,000 through their job, but that's not enough. It's not even close. You know, the other thing I look at is, okay, if you can afford to pay, let's just say $100 a month to go out and eat, right? Just $100, which is really not that much money. Then you can afford to save some of that and apply it towards life insurance. And that's a small amount. You know, we're not talking about somebody paying $400, $500, $600. We're just saying $100 a month. Everybody can find somewhere in their budget to save $100 to set up their family for even a term plan. You know, it doesn't have to be whole life. We can talk about both, but it can be something. You know?
So you mentioned term life and whole life, and I really want to get into that. But before I get into that, I wanted to ask you this, and maybe, you know, this is something that, you know, maybe you don't want to answer, but as you enter into homes to talk about life insurance, to talk about death, how difficult is it to really get families to see the value of having a policy that makes the good life available to those who continue to live after they're gone?
So for me, I've been in sales a long time, probably 13, 14 years, different companies. And I've always found it interesting that people, if you ask them a closed-ended question, they're always going to just say no. You know, 9 times out of 10, it's just no. You have to find questions that get them to, you know, for me, I don't want to talk as much. I want to listen. I want to listen to what my client is saying. I want to listen to what they're saying. They might not know they need, but the need behind the need. So I want to find the why they do what they do, why they need what they need, and then make it all come together for them, for their in the best interest for whatever they need. Because a lot of people don't know they need something until you tell them, well, you told me you make this much a month, you make this much per year, you told me you have this much debt. Well, this is what you actually need, sir. You know, this is how much you need. And then they say, okay, I didn't think about that, or I didn't know. So my job is to really show people, make them think about what they're actually doing currently right now, think about the future, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and then think about, well, what do I actually need to sustain my family and keep them from struggling and going down, you know, the wrong path.
Wow. So you're able to sit, listen, and then assess the need. Now,
Correct.
I just have a question that come through the page, and they wanted to know, what's the difference between term life and whole life?
Okay. So that's a great question. I actually, it's funny, that video, I just posted a video Monday about that. So that's good. That's somebody asked. I love to explain it. So there's 2 main types of insurance. From those insurance types, you can go down the line on different categories of it, but there's term and there's whole. Term is considered temporary coverage, right? 90% of people that we know do have a term that have life insurance. And the reason why is because it's less expensive. So term only lasts 20 years. Okay. If you get a term policy at 20 years old, it will expire and end at 40 years old. So what you have to do is with term, it's going to either term out or or you can renew it. Those are the only two things you can do. So it's going to end up where you don't have any insurance, or you can, renew your insurance. Also, I forgot, you can convert your term into whole life, right? Now, move over to the whole life side. You have a permanent insurance that does not end. Okay, whole life is totally permanent. It does not end, and you're able to grow your money over time. So we're talking about somebody that is 25 years old now. That term is going to go all the way throughout their lifetime. They won't have to get another one. The other thing is it grows at 6 to 8% dividend. It's going to continue to grow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that policy will actually grow for them over time. It's going to continue to grow. And on top of that, it's going to collect cash value. All right. So that cash value is something that you can borrow from.
Wow. Wait a minute. So let's stick a pin in that, because that what you just said now, I got some interesting listeners who wanted to hear that again. So that whole life policy grows.
Yes.
And when it grows, you can draw cash from it.
Correct.
Does it affect the policy?
No. So the way that it works is, Greg, if I was to take $10,000 out of my whole life cash value, then what happens is I can either pay it back into the policy, or I can turn around and not pay it back at all. And what the company does is they take that out of the death benefit when they pay it out. So it's almost like you're loaning yourself money once you have it available. You can loan yourself money.
Wow. So let me ask you this, because I know that my grandmother, who has gone home to glory, and even my mom, they would have these policies like hanging on the wall, and the insurance guy would come by and he would take their little money and mark it off.
Right.
And at the end of it, they might have been to pay $7 a week or $5 a week or $20 a month for 40 years.
Right.
And that policy is worth nothing.
Nothing. That's a term. That's a term policy. So what you just said was, if you get a term policy in 20 years or 30 years, you can do 10, 20, 30 years. Most companies do 20, but you can pay it for 20 years, 30 years. And guess what? If you don't die, you get no money. Whole life will always collect the cash value. Now, depending on what your premium is per month, and depending on your age, that's going to determine how much money you have in cash value. As you can guess, the more money you pay into it, the more money you'll have build up. I had one client who had $1 million term policy. We converted her term policy, 300,000 of it into whole life. And by the time she was 70, I believe she would have close to 500,000 cash value.
That's hers.
That's what she wanted. She told me that's what she wanted for her. So I just basically made it where in 30 years, I believe in 30 years, she would have a certain amount, and that's the way she wanted her set up.
Wow. What you're saying today, I feel like it is really blessing our listening audience, because I think this is so valuable to our community. Because as we look around, we see our young people dying at an alarming rate. And the sad part about it is, for me, is that the church is always being called upon to assist. And people feel that when the church do not assist, they feel like they're not doing their job. When they do not donate to these GoFundMes, or when they do not donate to a family who has lost a loved one, where the church is not doing what she should be doing. But in reality, the family is not doing what they should be doing.
Right.
How do we change that?
Yeah. You bring up a good point. I've actually been to funeral homes in town in Tallahassee, where the funeral director would tell me I had a family come in, and the funeral, on a low end is about $8,000. He said they couldn't pay it. They did not have, the family did not have $8,000, and actually asked to do a payment plan, to do a payment plan. And he's like, why don't you have insurance? You know, you can get a, depending on the age and the health, I mean, you can get policies for $20 or $30 a month. And I don't care who it is. So nobody can tell me they can't find $20 a month for a policy. Like $20, you know, that's less than $1 a day. So, you know, it's just something like as simple as knowing and putting it into the front of your mind that I need to take care of this now. And I'm not going to wait until I'm 40 and 50 to do it when it's going to cost twice as much.
Wow.
You know? So,
Wow. Well, listen, I have a question here. It says, does every term policy allow you to convert into whole life without a penalty?
No, not every term. It has to be a convertible term. So I hope they're listening and they understand if it's just a term, if it's, let's say it's a 20-year term, no, you can't convert it. That means that policy can be renewed at the time that it ends in 20 years, or you just have to get a new one whenever the 20 years is up. It has to be a yearly, it's called a yearly level convertible term. That means, one, it won't change for that amount of time. So if you, let's say with me, if I help you out and you get a $250,000 level convertible term for 20 years, that's going to stay the same. After 20 years, it's either going to change to a higher rate, or you can convert what's left over to the whole life.
So you mean to say, I mean, this is interesting because you mean to say that with the term, when that 20 years in, that policy is done, and
Correct.
All the money that you paid in, you have no benefits from it.
No benefits. Whole life is the only type of life insurance that you have living benefits. The only benefit you have from a term is death benefit. Death benefit and living benefit.
Long as you die within that term.
Correct. Your
Wow.
beneficiary will get whatever amount you signed up for from day one.
Here's a question. I have a $100,000 term that's ending in 5 years.
Oh, well, whoever said that sounds like they need to call me, because in 5 years, they won't have insurance. That's just the facts. If it ends in 5 years, unless they have something else, you know, they won't have any.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Really? Yeah, because they're going to have the option to either renew it, which would be at a higher rate, because it will change. It can't be the same that it was when you were 20 years old as it is at 40. You know, it's not going to be the same price. So they can either renew it, or depending on what type it is, they might be able to convert it into whole.
So really and truly, when you look at term life and you look at people who say, well, I've got term for 20 years, the only benefit, and this is sad to say, the only benefit is like at the casino now, I'm rolling dice. Because
and you're hoping it's like this. You're actually with term, you're actually hoping not to die because you don't want to. But if you do die, you want it to be within 20 years.
Absolutely. I mean, and you know what?
And
I mean, I am so delighted. I mean, I'm really glad that we're having this conversation because you and I have been talking back and forth when we look at what's happening in the community. You're out there, you're seeing that how we're losing these young kids at an alarming rate. We're talking about how sad it is. We even went to lunch and talked about this. So I'm glad that you're here on the show discussing this, because there are a lot of people who are listening, no doubt, have embarked upon a term life policy.
Correct. Which like I said, that might have been all they could afford at the time. That's why I never talk bad about term. I just try to educate people on, if you have term, this is what it means. I was speaking with someone earlier today that had a Gerber life. There's some people who have Gerber life out there, right? Gerber life, they need to understand this because not everybody knows. Gerber life, if you are between the ages of 50 years old and 80 years old, it's a guaranteed life policy, which means there's no medical questions, there's no health questions, there are no medical exams. Now, the other part of that is you will get guaranteed for coverage. You can only get 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and 25,000. There's only 5 options, right? The part that sometimes they don't tell you is when you sign up for, let's say, a $20,000 policy at 60 years old, what they don't say is if you pass away and die before 2 years, within 2 years, and if it's not from an accident, you don't get the death benefit, right? So if you die, if you do a Gerber guaranteed life policy and you die before 2 years from a heart attack or cancer or whatever it is, if it's a natural cause, they will give you back your premium payments plus 10%. That's what you get back. Now, the person today that I was speaking with, Greg, they didn't know that. And they were like, wow. So I signed up for this plan a week ago, and I didn't know that, they didn't tell me that I wouldn't get the policy if I died within 2 years. You don't get the death benefit.
And one of the things that I want to say to you, Jonathan, and I really applaud your heart. And I think this is why we have connected. So, just from working in the community with you and just from having day-to-day conversations when we do talk, it's about being able to be informative and very transparent. With you, it's not about the money.
Right.
It's about being able to educate people to know what they're doing. And
right.
One of the things that you said to me that was so important, man, I want to get the information out there. I want people to understand how important it is to know what they're getting, because you're running into so many people who thought they had one thing.
Correct.
And in actuality, they had something else. And when someone dies and they say, oh, I got the policy. And when you look at the policy, it's like you about to die because
like seriously though, imagine if you got your mom, let's say your mom was 78, right? She got a guaranteed policy, and she died 22 months into when you bought the policy. You would not get the death benefit. You would get your payments. You would get your payments back, but that's it. And people don't know that. So it's for me, it's the awareness, it's the education, and it's the information that's big, is key.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're talking with Jonathan Kelly from New York Life, and I'm so delighted to have him with us today. We have been working in the community side by side in some of these poverty-stricken areas. He's out there in the trenches, and he's not out there because of what he's doing, but he's out there because he has a passion to see our neighborhoods, our communities empowered. And I am so excited, and I am so moved to be connected with like-minded men and women who want to see our communities do better and who want to see them empowered and educated. So I invited Jonathan to join me in the month of March as we talk about the importance of this. A lot of people have been placing on Facebook, how can we help families stop the GoFundMe? I think the greatest thing we can do is families must become educated on the good life. We cannot see death as I'm dead, I'm done, forget about me. No, we've got to think beyond that. There are other families, there are other nationalities who take these policies and they are investments.
Yes, let's talk about that for a second. So you just said something, investment, right? Investment is super, it's a big word, and people need to understand what an investment is, right? So when I tell people, invest in yourself, always invest in yourself. We invest in other brands all the time, right? We invest in Nike, we invest in Jordan, we invest in Louis Vuitton, we invest in Gucci, whatever it is, that's fine. We invest in that to wear different brands, but do we ever invest in our future? Do we ever invest in our family? Do we ever invest in ourselves to set us up, not just only when we die, but while we're alive, do we do that? And the answer for most people is just no, because they're not thinking about it. They're only thinking about, how do I look right now? How do I feel right now? What kind of car am I driving? What do people see me as? And we want to impress so many people. Life has become really all about popularity, likes, impressions, people being impressed. And it's not so much about financial stability, financial security. We want the quick dollar. So many people, were hitting me up last year when they saw the market going crazy because they wanted to make quick money. And what they don't understand is the real money is made slow, not quick. The real wealth is created slow. Warren Buffett didn't make his money overnight. He made it by compound interest. You know what I mean? Compounding 5%, 6%, 8% over years is how you create wealth.
It's amazing you saying that, because I was just in a conversation this morning with some of my pastor friends, and we were talking about compounding. And I know we're going to get back to investment, because I know that there are ways that there are families who are investing in insurance policies, and they are being able to reap major benefits from those investments while they are living.
Right.
The things that we were talking about, a group of us this morning, we were talking about compounding. We were talking about if we was to take at a $2,000 account and just let it do 3% daily compound in a 9-month period. We're talking about you're turning that account into over 500,000 or more.
Right.
So when you said compounding, I just thought about the conversation we had this morning, and that's what we're getting ready to do within the next 90 days. I've put together, along with myself and some other pastors. I even talked to you about what I was doing and about bringing you in to help facilitate. We are transforming the lives of people. We're taking a 90-day journey into the areas of health, wealth, and spiritual enrichment. And what we're talking about now is health and wealth.
Yes.
And spiritual enrichment, because there are families who make investments into insurance policies and annuities. Let's talk about that and talk about what that investment looks like when their child is 9 and they invest for the next 20 years. And at 29, what's available to that child?
Right. So that's huge. So what I would say is, let's say you had a kid at 9, like you just said, and you set up you can even do a custom whole life policy. Now there's traditional and there's custom. Traditional normally goes to age 100. All right. Custom goes to the time frame that you set it for, and then you don't pay anymore. So I had some clients that said, I want to do a 15-year or 20-year custom whole life. So in this case, let's say you have a 9-year-old and you pay for 20 years a custom whole life. Let's say you just paid $300 a month, right? That $300 a month goes towards the whole life policy. But after 20 years, you don't make any more payments and the interest keeps building up. So you're still making money on what you already paid. And it just continues to grow. At any point in time, when you have cash value built up into the policy, you can take that out and put it into other assets. So my goal for my kids is, when I set up the whole life for them last year, I said when they turn 18 and they get out of high school, I want to buy them their first property in their name. I'm going to use the money from the whole life policy to put down as a down payment and closing costs to buy them a property that we can rent out.
So you can go in and extract that cash out of that policy without any penalties, or are there
any penalties? Yeah, because you've already paid into it. Everything is tax deferred. So you're not having to pay taxes on what you're pulling out. So that's why it's one of the best, really, whole life is one of the best tools and vehicles to hide money. Or not, I wouldn't say hide money, but to put money, because that's what the wealthy do. You have guys like millionaires and billionaires, they take out policies well into the, we're talking 7 figures. They take out policies into the 7 figures because they know that it's going to help them when it comes to taxes. And they know that it's going to help them when it comes to wanting to take out money at a smaller rate, where you're going to have 6%, let's say 6% interest over 30 years is better than putting your money into a bank account. It's just better. People say, I had one client that say, well, I took my money out of the bank and I keep it in a safe at home. I'm like, how does that make sense? Neither way is good, but I mean, putting it at home is even worse. Somebody can just take it from you at home, figure out where it is and get it. But I don't understand.
Wow. Well, listen, I want to ask you, because I think this is so important as our listeners are tuning in. One of the things that I want to say is that when you look at where we are now with COVID, when you look at the many lives that have been lost, what would you say to family members who are listening to this broadcast when it comes to really getting what's needed for their families? What would you say?
I would say, first off, I'm sorry, and my condolences for anyone who has lost someone to COVID or any death, disease, illness. I would say, definitely I'm sorry for that loss. But I would also say, I hope that you would have taken the right steps and precautions and just got some life insurance on your whole family. Because you can see, what most people don't realize is you can get insurance on anybody that you have insurable interest on. And insurable interest means you have a reason to have it. Like,
wait, say that again now, because I got some members listening, so they might just go out and say, I got insurable interest in the pastor, and they just might get it.
No. You just go up to, like, you can't just get like, you can't call up me and be like, hey, Jonathan, I want to get insurance on my buddy. I'm like, okay, well, are you related? No. Do you pay any bills for them? No. Do you have any type of, other than being friends with them, interest, like insurable interest? No. You can't just get it on anybody. It has to be like a parent, a child, even a niece or nephew. You can't be the owner of it. You have to have their parent be the owner. But you have to have insurable interest. You know, if you take care of someone, then that's insurable interest. But if you just want to get it on random people, you can't do that.
So I got someone who's asking, how do they get in contact with you?
Oh man, so that's easy. Right now, I want you to, first of all, you can find me on Facebook, just Jonathan Kelly. I'm gonna give you my number. I want you to save my number. You can call me, text me after we're done here. My number is 850-980-4925. You can also find me on Instagram at live, L-I-V-E, live _ the number 2, and then create. Live _ the number 2 create on Instagram. Please, I mean, reach out to me. Actually, I want to talk to anybody that wants to learn, that wants to listen, that's interested. I can, get your date of birth and give you a free quote. That only takes a few minutes, and we can just go from there.
Okay, could you give that number one more time, because we got people who did not catch it.
Correct. Okay, so it's 850-980-4925. That's 850-980-4925. Please lock my number in. Send me a text with your name and who you are and what you're looking for. Oh, perfect. There we go. Somebody doing it. They got the number up. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
well, I mean, that's what they're getting paid to do. And,
that's what they're doing. Okay.
And the work behind the scene is just amazing. So for all of you who wanted to know the information concerning Mr. Jonathan Kelly, it's on our screen now, 850-980-4925. So please contact him. I understand that there was several people who wanted to know how can they talk to you about insurance. So here's the information. And one of the things that we do right here on Wake Up Wednesday, we are always promoting what people in our community are doing, especially business people who have a heart for the people and who really want to educate them and be very transparent about what the needs are. So with that being said, Jonathan, man, listen, I want to really appreciate you for taking the time out. I think we got a few more questions that are coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. What are they saying? What do they want?
So let me ask you this. Here is, okay, Miss Mary Lambert said, I will be calling you. Thanks.
Please do. Please do. Listen, I answer. Listen, I don't know about some people, but I answer calls from numbers I don't know. That's something I do, because that could be somebody who's really trying to contact me. So anybody that calls, I will answer it if I'm available.
Well, sometimes I look at the number and I don't answer because
I know. That's how it is, man.
Hey, Jonathan, they are contacting you because, hey, listen, they need insurance. They contacted me because they want to figure out, how can I get out of jail? How can you help me? So I'm like, not today. I just can't do it today. But
listen, they say, send me some money, man. I'm calling to get some money from you.
That's absolutely. But listen, man, I tell you, when we look at what your work entails, what has been some of the greatest joys that as a young man, I'm sure that, this was not your study in school.
Right.
I'm sure that you did not spend 4 years in college to do what you're doing now. How did this happen?
So that is a great question, and you're absolutely correct. I went to college to be, it's funny, a journalist. I was a broadcast journalism. I thought that I would play basketball, go pro, come back from playing pro, and then become an ESPN analyst or something. That's what I thought at 18 years old, Greg. And it didn't work out like that. I played basketball, college. Then after college, I played in a couple smaller semi-pro leagues where you didn't really make the kind of money that I wanted to make. So I stopped doing that and went straight into sales. And the skills that I learned from sales really taught me a lot about who I was, about other people, being able to connect with people, discover their needs. And from there, last year, I went into life insurance, passed the state exam. And I knew that, financial literacy is my thing. That's what I want to do. I know that I want to teach people how to be financially empowered, how to be financially free And I knew that life insurance was one aspect of it, and it aligned with my vision and my goals. Because I was already a trader. I was already teaching people how to trade. I wanted to include that as something else.
Great, 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 great. So, man, listen, I tell you, I really applaud you, and I'm excited about the journey that I'm about to embark upon. And I'm excited that we're going to have you as a part of what we're doing in our 90-day transformation. And, you know, this is away from the insurance, but this is more into teaching people how to really take their own money and create their own bank.
Right.
You know, and with the digital currency awakening that we're encountering, it's so important now that people understand that things are changing.
Things are changing, and things are changing fast. Like I showed a guy last year who I used to work with. He's in his mid-20s. He told me, he said, man, does that trading stuff work? I'm like, yeah, like you can make money from the market. You just got to understand it and know what you're doing. So I didn't think he was serious about doing it, right? I taught him. He took my course, and this is something totally different from insurance. Taught him, took my course. He took $300 and turned it into over $11,000 in probably 9 months, in 8 or 9 months, and that was just $300.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, just something like as small as that. People, you can start with anything, y'all. You can start with $100, $200, $300, whatever it is, but you got to learn the skill of whatever you're doing, and you have to understand what you're investing in, whether it's a stock, crypto, Forex, life insurance. You need to understand what you're investing in and how the money is made.
Absolutely. And certainly, I think you said something at the beginning of the program, of the broadcast, that was so important. Just being able to understand how to slow compound. And you and I have had several conversations, you know, when it comes to the market, and we'll bring this back for another show, you along with more guests. I'm a very aggressive person.
Yeah. you go in. When you go in.
I go in. I mean, so I'm a very aggressive, and I think I'm so grateful for our friendship, because the Bible says iron sharpens iron. And so you've been able to kind of like tone me down, like, you know, hey man, listen, you know, I see what you're doing, I see how you're doing it, but you grow it slow. And I'm grateful for that. And I want to say to those who are listening to the broadcast, I want you to get ready for dream again. There are many people who've lost their dreams. Maybe the death of a loved one has stopped them from dreaming. Maybe life has caused them to stop dreaming. But you can experience the good life. You can experience that by first of all, becoming educated on what you have been taught as a misnomer.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because we take and say, I'm not getting insurance for you to live off of me. And that becomes something that is embedded and it is passed down. But you should be saying, I want to have insurance so you can keep on living.
There you go.
How many families have been totally destroyed because of the passing of someone who, as a family unit, they've had to come together to make sure that the burial was done, and then they incurred extra financial burdens even after that. So there's a lot of education that we have to do to make life better for our people.
Right. And let me show you the difference too, Greg. So most people that I talk to, there's one guy who I talked to, he told me that he has 4 kids or 5 kids, right? Each child, and I think they range from like 11 to probably 2. But he said each child, he has $350,000 of whole life for the child, right? Now, that's 2 things that I hear when he says that. One is that he knows how important it is. Okay. 2, he wants to set them up for success when they're in their 20s and 30s, right? So even though his baby can't even barely do much, talk, walk, whatever, she or he already is going to be set up to have tens of thousands of dollars by the time they're 25. All right. That's one thing. Number 2, he invests in things that are growing. He invests in assets, not liabilities. Right. Because even though he might be paying a couple $100s a month because of the face amount that's so big, he knows that, you know what, I can also pull from this money whenever I want. I can take from this money. So I'm actually paying myself. But see, most people don't think of it that way. They think, no, man, that's a bill. That's another expense. I don't want to pay that. But you're already putting it somewhere. Why don't you put it somewhere that's going to grow for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I talked to other people, and this is a white guy. This same white guy has $350,000 for all of his kids and has probably 2 to 3 million for himself. Right now, why would he have that much money for him, his wife, and his kids? But then people in our community, you know, other black people that I know, and I'm not even talking about us like it's, you know, I'm not saying it as if it's a bad thing. I'm saying it as if we need to know better and we'll do better. But let me just give you an example. Other people that I help, you know, black people in our community would say, well, Jonathan, I don't need $1 million. I don't need $1 million. I'll just take 100,000, 200,000, right? But they don't know this, but they do need $1 million. They just don't understand why they need $1 million. So my job is to really, really show people and educate why they need what they need, and to help them see that it's not just another expense. It's not just the bill, Greg. So
and you know what, Jonathan, to be honest with you, because we have spent time talking money matters, talking about investment, $1 million, is it a lot of money?
Huh. I mean, $1 million is a lot of money, but in the big scheme of things, it's not
no money.
It's no money, but it's not as much. But see, that's the thing. It's all perspective. It's a lot of money to somebody who only makes $30,000 a year.
Right.
It's a lot of money to somebody that has never seen $100,000. You see what I'm saying? Like when you start to realize how much money really moves, how much money really circulates in the U.S. and abroad, we're talking about trillions of dollars a day is moving throughout the markets. $1 million ain't nothing.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
I want to make this comment for you. Pastor Judy says, I have not heard whole life like that. Wow. Thank you for the knowledge. So Jonathan, man, I am so, I mean, I don't know the words to say about having you and about the connection that we made inside of a housing project, to see you out there educating. I mean, you could have been doing anything else on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But you say, hey, man, I want to rub shoulders with you guys because what I'm doing, I want to be able to educate our community. Man, that goes a long ways with me, because at the end of the day, you're not doing it to have your names in lights. You're not doing it to get a trophy. You're not doing it to generate revenue for yourself. You're doing it because you want to make sure that when I'm gone, I was able to make a contribution to educating our people. To know that even though right now you're living off of what the federal government is giving you, you still can change the way life looks for you if you're able to educate yourself and be empowered by the knowledge. The Bible says people perish for a lack of knowledge. When we're able to give people knowledge, we're able to empower them. So I just felt, and I got a lot of friends who've already called me once I posted your flyer that you were coming on. They was like, well, Greg, I do this, I do that. I said, well, you do. I said, but at the end of the day, you don't do it with me. I'm out in the streets doing it. He does it with me.
Right.
He's in the neighborhoods with me.
Yeah.
Where at the end of the day, he may not write not one policy, but that's not what he's there for. He's there to just awake the consciousness of the people that we're trying to move from the place that they're at. That's
the only way we're going to get somewhere as a people, Greg, is if we do it together. That's the only way. We're one of the only races where we fight each other and we can't team up and trust each other and pull together. Think about this, man. If we would pull our mindsets together, our money together, our resources together, we could really change things and make a difference, right? But if we don't do that, then we'll always be like crabs in a barrel, you know. And it doesn't have to be like that. First, it does start with a mindset, getting those resources. Like if I start telling people about life insurance and about, you know, how to make money work for you, then guess what? They'll tell somebody, and then they'll tell somebody. That's how it starts, to where we can have a economic liberation, economic revolution, and change the whole game. The only way we're gonna get things done is if we hit the I guess powers that to be, if we hit them where it hurts, which is in the pockets. That's it, man. Money moves everything.
Absolutely. And I'm so delighted to have one of my good friends on out of Miami, Pastor Eric Thomas, Apostle. He is a kingdom financier. And man, he's doing a whole lot of work with empowering throughout the nation, men and women, about kingdom economics. So I'm glad to have him tuned into the broadcast. And I think what is so important, Jonathan, you said something that I'm constantly saying, and I'm constantly getting kind of like beat up for saying that we fight each other more than the other race fight us. And when we're in power, it's as though we are suppressing each other,
right,
rather than making sure that we progress.
Yeah.
So I think that we're in a time and we're in a space whereby collectively, if we could just start unifying, then we can see the kind of change that we want to see. And man, I am grateful because we are able to talk about what makes our communities better. And when we unite, we become better. And I was just saying the other day, if people really understood how money works, if they really understood how money works, then they wouldn't be so in a hurry to go spend the dollar with the Asian community, with the Mexican community. They would really want to see that dollar circulate in our community more than once.
That's it. Mataki, you know what? Mataki said something last week at Working Class Wednesday. He said the exact same things, Greg. He said, Mataki said that the black dollar only circulates for about 6 hours in our community before it's gone. We hold on to the dollar for about 6 hours, right? So that means we are the biggest consumers on the planet, right? When it comes to spending, right? But what that also says is the money that we spend, what if we spent it in another direction, in another area, right? If we really want generational wealth, if we want to affect the system and really make something change, it's going to take us putting our money into places that will liberate each other and will change things. And that's going to be the difference maker, man. Like we can't make excuses anymore. We can't complain. We have to really get to it. You know, we have to be about the business, so we got to be serious. And if we do that, Greg, like we could really make some changes, man, you know?
Absolutely, man. Hey, listen, I'm excited about it. I'm talking with Jonathan Kelly, an agent with New York Life. Not only that, but he is a entrepreneur. He is a person who is a community advocate. He has a heart for the community, and his heart is in the community. And I'm so delighted to have him joining us on Wake Up Wednesday. Hey, listen, this is what I need you to do. Those of you who are listening to the broadcast, I'm getting ready to put a 1-800 number on this screen. And that 1-800 number is going to give you the opportunity to call to say, I want to know more about this 90-day transformational program. It's called Let's Dream Again. Jonathan is going to be helping to facilitate in our wealth section. He's going to be helping to talk about how money works, how insurance works. He's going to be giving you insight on all you need to know. It's a 90-day transformational program that we're getting ready to launch. And if you want to know more about it, I want you to dial the number that is about to be placed on our screen. I'm going to be calling that number out to you as well. That number is 1-833 RTLWORK. We are only accepting 100 participants, and it's a 90-day, and we're going to show you how money works. We're going to talk about how you not only prosper, but how you stay in good health, how you develop a mindset, how you understand that your mouth matters, and then how you understand how to manifest what your mind and your mouth come in agreement with. That number to call is 1-833 RTLWORK. We want to get you involved. But Jonathan, man, listen, I didn't know that we were going to spend the whole hour talking, but it's been so informative. It's been so inspiring. What is it that you want to say in the final minutes that we have remaining?
Number one, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. You know, I really appreciate you giving me the platform and the time just to come talk with you and with your listeners and viewers. And two, I just want to say, if you are out there, even if you have life insurance, we still need a conversation, you know, because it's things that you don't know that I do know that I might be able to help you either save some money on what you have now or get you what you need if it's more, So just having a conversation with anybody who's interested in learning more about life insurance and the living benefits of life insurance, not just having it for the death benefit, I say let's have a conversation. Or if you have none and you're thinking, I really need to get some life insurance, don't wait, because let's be honest, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next month. We don't know what's going to happen next year. There's plenty of people, Greg, that went into 2020 thinking they would still be here, at the end of 2020. And unfortunately, they're not, whether it be COVID, car accident, heart attack. I know somebody that I used to play ball with that was 33, died just instantly one day of a heart attack a few months ago, and it's just, you never know when God is going to call you home, when it's your time. So the least you could do is just be prepared. You don't have to break the bank and buy $500 worth of cover. You don't have to do that, but you do need to get something. Everybody needs something. So I just want to help our community, specifically. I want to help our community and our people understand the importance and just have more awareness around it. So wow. I really appreciate it.
Wow. Well, once again, man, thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us. And for those of you who are listening to the broadcast, whether you're listening Facebook Live, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're listening through the airways, I want you to reach out to Jonathan Kelly. I want you to just have a conversation with him so you can find out what you need to know. And I want to say that you can reach out to him by dialing the number 980-4925. That's the number to call just to have a conversation. At the end of the day, I appreciate his heart to say, I'm willing to just sit down and talk to people, to answer questions and to give them insight. Once again, hey, this has been Wake Up Wednesday. I'm Greg James, and I had with me today Jonathan Kelly, New York Life, friend, brother, you name it, he's the guy. And I want to thank him so much. Stay tuned. Coming up next, it's the man who rocks the gospel station like none other. That's right. It's the Doc D Show. You don't want to miss it. Doc D, he's coming up right after this. In the meantime, I want you to have a wonderful Wednesday. Walk in the favor that God has called you to walk in. Listen, I'll see you Sunday morning right here live for our virtual experience, Life Church International. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and make sure you be a part of our Life Church International Facebook page. Until then, remember, the good life is waiting for you to be lived.